see so. Okay. You already have it?
I have not opened it yet. Give me a second to download.
I'm good. Right.
I'm not. I like how you have your social media.
Oh, it's the MBA social media. I think we automatically put that. Like, doesn't do it online.
I'm good now.
Okay. Advantage one is core clock SDI. This future is skyrocketing now. Federal judges lack the expertise to officially evaluate cases. Range 23 in the last 2 years, judges considering appeals for benefits and highest rate of protection in years of claim. Was so big that had to be unreviewable, proof it out. Our courts is agreeing you have to do a better job results in it. His average civil disability system judges refer back to administrative law judges side prolonging cycles of appeals of cases that have been source of alarm outside social security, much higher than it should be. Administrative law judges knowledge system is flawed. Claimants spend years battling for benefits. Those disputes are uniquely litigious, overwhelming federal dockets. Scaled back 16% has failed to obtain benefits. Can appeal to federal district court through the case law and remands the judiciary exercise outside influence on claims social security. It's at a hefty amount of the court's workload. 7% of filing judges know little about social security. Claims court review to disability appeals is a singular, no other appeal generates anywhere near the volume of litigation. Disability claims in Medicare, immigrant, bankruptcy. Disability appeals for these cases. Judges do not relish social security docket. No, like social security judges describing cases at the bend of our existence. Disability claims about to consider most undesirable part of our docket. Horribly ill fit for judges. Backlog causes judges to banish data protection cases. Haley 20. Standing rule reduces workload of judiciary increasing caseload of federal courts. Data protection cases promise to be long and involve most from the data breaches. Their class action complex where overworked judges eager to get the cases off the docket for lack of standing. Work relatively little justice is effective. Disadvantage to suit data are inconsistent with the explanation. Appellate courts have been seen solicitors in data protection cases. Data breach cases present technically complicated and most diffuse harm breaches, empower authoritarian internet assaults, and weaponize AI. Mesa 19 private sector responsible for the data. Chinese hackers use the data to train AI. Cyberwar US info makes up to guys in China's data. Train AI for military use, facing CCP world in 2030 some data competition. US to prepare for authoritarian attacks against companies. Russia is following China to disconnect the internet from moves among liberalism, fragment the openness of information. Authoritarian internet makes it impossible to coordinate on all existential risks. Felstein 20 renewal alliances fight climate change. Not conceived about info. Adversaries are pursuing their strategy. China and Russia define their sovereignty. Dictators exploit disinformation. America's not population. Democracies fracture. And it's as unable to coordinate. Authoritarian set rules to govern data. The process shift is just Europe from the U.S. fear of race to the bottom. Cyber open information existential. Weaponized AI causes nuclear war. Gilliam's 24. China recognizes a contender in AI. China's AI hold implication for nuclear warfare. CCP refuses to keep autonomy out of its nuclear CNC. Marrying AI and nuclear weapons good. He got shoving half the world in infectious finishing the transfer of communicating military AI. Countries like China and Russia have not AI could undermine nuclear stability. Russia's dead hand system is still operational with AI. Though this could be more terrifying. AI increases potential for nuclear actions. Absence of human judgment lead to errors and false alarms. Data breaches. Right grid security from smart grids. Set off 22. As grids become smarter, data is important. A breach can be costly financially, reputationally. Cyber criminals. Many utilities find target chances are higher. Breach will occur. Utilities with the loss of hours. Info, IP, and more cost for the cyber attack. Estimated reputational damage can be severe. Consumers' data and cooperation are vital to management of markets. Knocking consumer confidence and devastating impact on smart grids. Meters grid innovation and energy resources are vital. Data sharing between participants is critical to a balanced grid and smooth running of the system. Data must be secure. Grid failures cause extinction. Monarch 20. Power cannot be restored. Persistent accidental threat. Grid supplying power to large percent of the U.S. It goes back. The question is not how, but whether we survive grid failure. Unleash greater fortunes. Scarcity communication. Ceases garbage. Pile up water becomes a luxury. Hospitals go dark. National stop. That's only tip of the iceberg. Social chaos for brain disease would reemerge. Disability insurance adjudication is on the verge of collapse due to lack of definitional clarity. The plan is critical to fix it. Rain 23 system is relied on administrative law judges to adjudicate disputes and made up complex decisions. Role is complicated. Subjective roles had more benefits. Bear told to rely less on medical opinions about whether or not they're disabled. Reviews that the chilling effect of mental does have become more onerous with claimants are required to submit more evidence. Existing ability cannot totally disregard testimony of physicians. Changes needed at the level of review. Claims must be properly reviewed. The plan clarifies disability thresholds, making disability determinations much less burdensome by incentivizing transparency over ability to work. In 15.2, partial benefit regimes one could leave benefits lower. Thresholds such as a system requires government to rate and determine severity of disability and approaches. Here, applicant decides to apply for specific tier. The applicant reveals ability to work in administration challenges making finally differentiated severity determinations. Unlike current program that makes beneficiaries working about being removed if they reveal work capacities partial. System promotes revelation of capacity. Advantage 2 is the workforce. Labor force participation of disabled people has increased post-COVID, but staying momentum reducing disabilities requires stronger SDI support. This has to be 23 data reveal persistent gaps in labor force participation with a barrier to integrated employment like a force relies on some minimum wages. Problems coordinating services disabled Americans citizens about losing SDI if their work eligibility are affected by substantial gainful activity. Social security is critical ways to strengthen programs that do not satisfy work consist about benefits create problems disabled people more than twice likely to be unemployed since 2020 small. Often disabled people employed with a high rate of unemployment like COVID's effective workforce contributing to growth of disabled workforce. Resolving unemployment for disabled people checks facts against a dwindling labor force. is the key internal link. In 15, labor force participation track rapidly. 1/3 are people with disabilities, millions of adults with disabilities willing to work and have jobs. Retirement is not the main reason for the decline. Fewer people have to take care of house or family disability means primary reason Americans are not in the workforce. Figure continues to rise. New jobs expected to be created yet. People with disabilities unable to bridge the gap. They continue to exit the labor force at the current rate. A strong labor market ensures competitiveness and international legitimacy, solving existential crises. Figure 20, economic prosperities by market political change. Equitable recovery be powerful with bold action to help workers access jobs. U.S. where undermining legitimacy and international standard recovery requires workers obtaining good jobs and basis public investment necessary to put Americans back in the work and opportunity. American need job growth strategies through major programs. Strength increases influence funds and strong military yet is not enough for strong representative must be shared mobility. Creates credibility for values and model. Yes, at the same for leadership. Strong recovery is a core of ability. Self-shared political challenges. A position of strength enables us to address global crises such as climate pandemics and refugees. U.S. has unique tools. Revitalizing the U.S. Senate order solves the litany of risk. Haas 22 declining the world order defense becomes deep United States opposition. Russia's had by a tyrant longs to recreate Russian influence using market Western global pharmacy and to be confrontation with U.S. Risk of colliding climate pandemics nuclear problem of American creation. U.S. institutions underpin order for the last 75 years. High competition makes it difficult to produce. Cooperation plans for the war in Europe, in the Pacific, and for Iranian cause instability to produce mistakes from World War II. Task U.S. to discover national power against disorder. Bolstering disabled people's participation in the labor force is critical to competitiveness. Eicher 21 results of countless studies. People with disabilities outperform others with efficiency, productivity, increases profitability. Majority of people with disabilities wish to work plays a vital role in their lives. So surveying need normality, socialization, motivation allows a significantly higher research success. High job satisfaction lead to lower turnover, higher return on investments in training, lower absenteeism. People with disabilities often work more concentrated accurately, high attention to detail, ideal for info, and tech with people with disabilities often more likely to find solutions to complex problems, given companies innovative solutions, given an edge or not hiring with these capabilities. So the financial test study, including 140 companies conferred with disability inclusion, increased business performance, specifically innovation. Post-pandemic labor shortages got the healthcare sector, causing countless deaths and collapsing public health. Smith 23, America in dire need of healthcare workers has been for a few years. 18 November, unprecedented strain COVID. Identify the problem half of employees public health agencies left their jobs. This requires urgent changes having problems gotten the profits of private companies. Forced rely on expensive work, contract workers, shortages having disappeared, short staff. Departments have been brought to working with a breaking point, passion patients to job while waiting. Agencies have struggled to find workers and to keep them with 64% over turnover. Hospitals are keeping patients longer than can meet at a cost. Pandemic exposed fraying of healthcare workforce. Access is crucial to pandemic preparedness. CON16, doctors and nurses are the eyes and ears of health surveillance are affecting the depends on whether they're available. Some of them have access to healthcare. The risk of an outbreak spreading unchecked disease. Ebola doesn't have a widespread outbreak. It was kind of the thing that could worry about. Access to healthcare is critical for pandemic preparedness. The nation depends on it. I'm going to get a pandemic cause extinction. Demand is 22. We have the plan. Not how to face the next pandemic. Even worse pandemics that the human race pandemics could result in the complete shutdown of civilization. Extinction. New variants mutation could innovate by weakening. Weakening antibodies COVID help us realize that maybe sitting on a time bomb plans of other viruses are waiting to put into the existence of inhabitants of Earth. Do I have it now?
Yeah.
Okay. Therefore, the United States federal government should expand Social Security to include partial disability benefits. Solves. The plan solves and adapts a partial benefit regime for disability insurance, simplifying administration and adjudication while also supporting labor force participation. Yen 15. SSDI grows faster than prefers to reach ages with increased disability. Changes to improve work incentives and eliminate a partial disability program could foster work, improve opportunity behavior, and promote adaptive labor force. Partial system is a promotion for support to disabled individuals. Programs help see current programs that all or nothing. A full definition requires individual demonstrated inability to engage in any gainful activity and employability. And disabled individuals with improved binary definition result in high welfare costs for those who retain capacity can hardly make ends meet. Systems adaptive salaries for disability examiners, especially in marginal cases, very limited individual might be eligible. Disabilities is close enough. Similar cases might be rejected. Partial eligibility by better action, individual severity, and improved program efficiency. Individual can self-select the level of benefit most severe, equivalent to current definition. People who is borderline apply for lower level, longer work life, payroll tax contributions, and improved program solvency. Partial system will reduce costs of the system despite induced entry data indicates substantial work in partial systems. Under partial program increases labor supply concentrated among primary age workers and part-time work applicants for full benefits, full substantially, which vastly lowers the number of persons years spent on the IDI program. Value of benefits paid out will be lower. A partial benefit system increases individual welfare, promotes labor force participation, and reduces budgetary costs. Yen 15. Current system results in exit of individuals from the labor force. A partial system establishes a culture of attachment to the labor force model to predict behavior response to partial benefits, predicted a substantial increase in recipients of primary age working ages, increases all attributed upswing of partial benefits, full benefits became less attractive.
Last card that became less attractive.
Okay.
That was the reason for it.
You good?
Yeah.
Does plan increase taxes?
Robert doesn't.
We think that like the mandate of the plan is an increase in benefits for people who have like disabilities and are not qualified for fully disabled but still are partially disabled.
How much is the increase in
Those,
tax?
I mean, you want a number?
Yeah, well, like at the relative size, like how much is it?
I mean, it's like substantial enough to solve our impacts, but small enough to avoid the dissents.
What does
Like,
that mean?
It's a ridiculous question. Like, I don't know the specific number of people we would add in the
You know
program.
what the app does.
We've had cards
does
saying
the
that the
app
plan
even do?
would increase eligibility for people who do not qualify for full disability but still have some working capacity. Those people do not receive benefits now, or they do receive full benefits and are discouraged from working. The plan solves that by providing partial benefits
does the plan?
that are thresholds. The federal government.
Is there no needs active?
No,
I mean,
the federal government.
So the increase in benefits, how's it funded?
I mean, with things like payroll taxes,
So the app would increase payroll taxes?
Well, I mean,
Not
if the app
necessarily.
results in a net increase in Social Security expenditures, then it'd be paid for by the
So it doesn't increase taxes.
It doesn't necessarily increase taxes.
Yeah, all of
If it
Social Security
increases
is
net
financed by
expenditures-
taxes.
Yeah, Social Security is funded by payroll taxes. If the plan net increases expenditures, it will be
Yeah.
funded through payroll taxes.
The disabled people key to competitiveness scenario. How does this internal link evidence get to solving secular stagnation or
It's not going to
competitive
play with the
response?
impact. The ITER evidence says disabled people are pretty important for the labor force. The first one is just the labor force declining now. The reason is because there's not enough disabled people in it. The yen card is fantastic. It says that disability remains primary reasons Americans are not in labor force. The ISTRA evidence that explains why that uniquely and disabled workers specifically are important for competitiveness. The internal link is also
yeah,
about
it says that
stagnation.
businesses
It's
that
about
have
job
disabled
growth strategies
people-
driving U.S. soft power
Businesses that
globally.
have disabled people have like higher
Yeah,
productivity. What evidence says that's enough to solve
No,
the uniqueness claim that you've made?
There are multiple internal links. We said that one, businesses that employ a lot of disabled people are much more productive.
How many
but
disabled people would re-enter the workforce because of the plan?
A lot.
A substantial number that aren't in it right now. We've read evidence that says the
Seems
main
like you don't know
reason
what that
disabled
does.
people aren't in the
first
the
you don't
main
know
the
reason
amount
disabled
of people, that doesn't mean you know.
You've read a lot of evidence that there's litigation occurring due to Social Security, but the cards about backlogs also says that things like criminal cases, class action lawsuits, etc. are swamping the courts
We've
now.
read
How do you solve
comparative
any of
evidence that says that these cases are by far the worst thing that judges have to deal with.
Yeah,
Gallup
but
cites quotes
it
from,
doesn't say that they're the most
judges,
numerous
says the
things.
most
Like,
undesirable part of my
the
document
cards about
is that it's a
backlogs more
significant
generally
word.
is about every other case that exists.
The
in
internal
court.
link to backlogs compares this type of case to every other type of case.
Yeah.
And it says that on the whole, these cases
Also,
combined are
specifically,
worse.
when they are overworked, they advantage data collection. That's Haley.
1 XCS 10. The order is 14, 1, 2.
I gotta make
I
that.
got more.
Yeah, that's gonna be, yeah. That-
I was saying 4 first, and I was like, oh, that's so nice.
will you be going to the games?
Yes.
In what order will you be doing
1,
it
2.
again?
So manage 1,
One,
manage
two.
2.
You gave me the exact right number. It's crazy. Give me a second. I have the phone number again.
Yeah, I need a sec.
Okay.
Okay.
1 7. Okay.
Is everyone good now?
Yep.
All right.
First off, is Ukraine decided the United States sanctionship past Ukraine aid would pass Pete 421 U.S. House approved. Bodies funding would cut pursuit of Senate Senate announced. Senate legal procedure was final passage expected. McConnell should through support behind the task is originally anticipated to pass by partisan Social Security reform expense PC. Expect partisanship was key 22 Social Security reform no longer involved request political action. Ignoring the progress political challenges and process not politically still ignoring problems that can only be addressed by expanding political capital as a POB and responsible EC. No reform is more likely by an era 8 prevents nuclear war coach 411. Ukraine expectedly linked to by law and alliances in which America possibly strengthened the plans of credibility. Ukraine suffered to defend against Putin's advances to degrade Russia's military and discourage aggression. If Putin succeeds in exciting Europe will go and force NATO to increase defense. Plenty of war arms in the world will not limited to Europe. China watching alliances to stakes are high. Implicity allows negative more territorial aggression and running NATO encouragement for China betterment would be colossal. Next off is mean tests. Counterplan. The United States Federal Commission means test Social Security solves and avoids Managaro 22 benefits, including targeted pay. Largest recipients who need at least formula as complex, difficult for them to plan and features. Encourage early retirement and reduce labor costs, monitor Social Security and ensure financial sovereignty without taxes possible targeting benefits. Universal coverage is not sustainable. Next off is the Basel Counterplan. The United States Federal Government proposed to the Basel Committee that the United States includes expansion of Social Security to include partial disability benefits under the Basel IV Committee.
Fiscal coordination solves case while safeguarding against numerous global crises, financial stability, innovation, competitiveness. Krenninger 18, sovereignty created manipulative narrative supporting mass integration, how to foster growth, welfare, financial order, development, coordination requires integrated norms, communication, and exchange without standards, efficient markets, and impossible, difficult to assess. National bilateral protectionist regime impair, influence deteriorating trade framework, energy risks, and markets ban multiple regimes, such as trade, innovation, growth, yes, participation in BS is critical to important and preserving stability in markets, and engagement in such global economic prosperity, and polio causes negative spillover effects and endanges competitiveness. Triggers World War III, Oppenheimer 21, environment events, health, tech failures will define future where structural forces impact capacity of powers to settle and other shocks they helping will produce increasing polarization and conflict weakening institutions and so they reduce capacity to confront warming tech, changing the weapons and political escalating trade disputes, terrorist escalating risks will get globalization as political effects will be damaging and fierce nationalism which contributes to conflict, trade wars, lead to war within economic constraints and aggression by our trade wars by reducing international speaks, civil war, the moment is scary in pre-1914, there are many hotspots, Korea, yes, Taiwan, where can lean seems right. Next off is the OLRC Counterplan in the United States. The Office of the Law Revision Council should ensure a no-source provision in the United States Code establishing prior-classy evidence to expand Social Security include partial disability benefits. The United States Executive and Judicial Branch should enforce this policy. It solves cross-running in codification and OLRC may change the oriented substantive provisions of the lawyers perceive as an distinguishable from the established titles. These not enacted and codified by Congress and not voted on any status of the law and the interest of doing so. The statute and codified public peace differently from tax enacted bureaucracy because if you compare to non-partisanship process and institutional respect was elements of rationality auxiliary legislative institutions that produce a stronger democratic system, market credit system, solves extinction, Britain and 20 COVID can become more collaborative, highlight vigilance, protective peace, and knowledge of war that we use source of connectedness, global risks demand, global response to non-partisan politics, 10% effective response to harder attack, central risks, climate change and nuclear weapons. Next off is T taxes. Fiscal redistribution refers to redistribution of money and income by means of both government spending and taxing, i.e. fiscal activities. That's 686 on the ground. The expanded topic, any policy that spends money only fiscal miscalibration, calibrates net ground and enables effective cash. Next off is elections, Hassan. The United States federal government should legally bar Donald Trump from holding public office. Biden wins not limited to whether he's been successful since 84 posts subject to geopolitical value leader alliance claims and according to polls. Bush, Reagan, and Obama shared polls that come from election day and keep the big picture and oppose the keys favored Biden will show to defeat our economic unrest and rich. Coming out the plan leaks coming out 23 big famous college research person. People think about inflation on the nation democrats on fire burner with voters of range. Economies top higher party and social security. Trump win causes nuclear war capable 24 to access risk was a excluding war with Trump continuing nuclear war with Russia and Ukraine and China over Taiwan. Trump gains economic exchange and healthcare after new start expenses presidential is the most important factor in terms of nuclear arms racing. Part 4 next off is the space elevators Counterplan. The United States federal government should increase space elevator funding to $1,400 billion and $1 million minus fiscal year 2024 Social Security spending times $2 million. Calculation results in $2 trillion for space elevators to be 23 1.4 trillion be paid for Social Security. Sufficient impossible hammer 12 don't you see cable shooting tracks the embrace space elevators coming in those 5 years customers to deal with each climate costs $100 billion including trillion development costs temporary roads costs and $1 trillion wages is possible. Only space call avoids extinction. Only compass solves Zodiac 19 unless colonies and some space humans become meters. Nearby Nova sun will scorch earth we can self destruct by nukes war climate spaces ultimate insurance for long-term community survival colonizing solar system. Provide several habitats to give you steps so beyond the travels. The challenge we depend on rockets alternative space elevator when take through orbit developments exponentially advanced materials of space elevators dramatically reduce cost of space next off is a data set. The United States federal government should abolish Social Security transfer, Social Security is unsustainable reader 23, and subsidies 40 assumption reforms less urgent to have dollar Social Security finance, but deficit Social Security 1% trillion offshore for companies, Washington's deficit remaining neutral by interest, cost Social Security of 160 trillion and deficit of delivery from the finance spending. That makes it possible to fund long-term objectives, lottery 21, sustainable budgets, not changing costs, changing its cost of benefits, double the banks, hiking rates, 700 rates, based on one cost, tax cuts for 10 years, there's close to reducing investment improvement of the minimum society, and economically funding new starts to be seen numerous forces they about governments realize costs extinction, boy 21, for each express we face better politics leadership for battle threats, according to human created climate change directly to nuke, interact failure to risks, superconscious poses, comets, impact super volcanoes, and degradation, environment risk, higher cost time. Next off is district court Counterplan. The United States District Court should publish a decision that requires expansion of social insurance to include partial disability benefits and environmental legal challenges. The Supreme Court should uphold the decision ruling that the aforementioned decision holds presidential weight. The company competes but solves and avoids the absence of presidential weight. Turns the case Horowitz 14. The president should find an appeal hinges on speculative exercise contract the district courts carry force to can save everyone experts. No speculative cases that reduce the consistency of tissue. Judges and social security is sweeping and the truth fairness efficacy simple solution makes post decision and social security binding has been necessary no legislative based on amendment. Implementation, no expansion of authorized will be legal. I'm going to change so people will be authorized to. Next off is a guidance stocks Counterplan. The United States federal government should not to compel adherence to expansion of social security, including partial benefits via final standard documents allocating safety $1 billion for every non-compliance who competes in TOC's case. Should pay for the government stocks and not benefits less difference. Parties fear courts therefore comply with safe litigating counsel in favor of complying when there are doubts of potential agencies close to achieve the same facts but easier public and all rules of valid people come from rather than non-constitutional challenges and consequences identical funding rates in AI, extinction on 21 constructive, customers help unlikely to enough federal potential information, help to track risks in Western area and safety R&D, fund investment in safety, there is no sensitive AI agency resources, country risk mitigation and safety will be effective to allies draw on preventing accidents engaged with China. Next office, the Counterplan 38 states should convene a strictly limited constitutional convention of the expansion of Social Security to include partial disability benefits. It solves causes follow and avoids politics. Next office, the states Counterplan to 50 states on all relevance of national actors should enter an interstate cooperation agreement to governmental coordination expand Social Security to include partial disability benefits. Interstate compacts act like federal law. Next office, the personal account Counterplan, the United States federal government should create a voluntary personal account retirement option with the automatic enrollment funded by Social Security payroll contributions only solves avoids the big 21. Progressive forms of directors political Americans will be happy for others paid or not themselves to fund fixed funding shortfall raise taxes when we less people raise the rate of return by payroll taxes personal account. Next office, negative income tax Counterplan. The United States federal government should implement negative income tax source and shield shares in the United States economic political fees with the year deliver harder use and quality instead of automation penetration for lowest risks for innovation of H1. Multiple all causes per 1 cross X to no internet cops we come down to 21 local consensus government price national policy assess recognize the solution the function of global infrastructure appetite in times by co-op and consensus very low market rate very low. 3 military areas far off Korea 18 years China and Russia entering resource concept to places areas on weapon rushing weapon control to range of just on the technical nations ability enough to fully understand personality and military signals care about ethics may unwilling to linkage control due to risks. Great resilient no collapse of the 12 years very unlikely to ultimately have been was monitored because never checked 30 times a second 60,000 miles a year last added to the great advantage too. No disease impact tailored to the appendix likely to extinct human species humanity so I'm place with groups actually making it possible some manufactured market card ineffective. No relative decline the US grew faster than the advanced economy over 24 years. Economy grew faster than the advanced economy wide margins on structures so the while performance the structural states reflects fundamentals related to countries dealing with relation but US managed to achieve growth despite headwinds the US experienced productivity growth fueled by innovative corporate sector. Mark the card at productivity growth fueled by an innovative corporate sector. That's the Irwin card.
Give me one. My mouse isn't letting me scroll. So I'm gonna close it.
No worries.
My whole computer's just. Jesus. My computer just opened like every program.
Take your time.
It just keeps coming. Let's see if I might even be strong. Sorry, just like it keeps opening every single program. Whatever I try to looks like it's working. Alright. Is it good?
I'm good.
Okay. The politics dissad, did you read all the cards on this?
I did not read the prolific card.
Okay, same thing with the debt dissad.
I read every card.
Every card on the debt dissad?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
Can you stats the option?
The status quo is a logical option against new apps.
Okay. Debt dissad, the Counterplan abolishes transfers. Does it keep like the taxes that fund the transfers?
Yes.
Okay, so we payroll tax people for benefits and then we don't give them any benefits.
That is correct.
Okay. The Ukraine dissad, is the link exclusively premised on Unity, PC? You said Social Security depletes both, but you said Unity key, which is.
I mean, most likely by partisanship, so Unity for the most part. Like
Okay,
that's
so if
the
Unity's strong post-plan, does that solve? Regardless.
I think so. Yes.
You think so? Or
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The reform Social Security evidence seems to be in the context of political capital. Where do you think it says that it breaks unity?
I mean, it says that Social Security reform is not in vogue. It has not been reformed since 1983. That was the last time
I
it
think saying
ever
Social
actually
Security
came.
reform is not in vogue is the same thing as saying that the plan breaks unity in Congress.
It certainly does. The reason why Social Security reform has not even been discussed in committee for the past 4 decades is because both sides of the aisle know it's contentious, especially when it relates to disability cases. And the reason why is because Republicans want to paint disabled folk as
Wait, where have you read
fraudsters.
evidence about the disabled folk?
The 1 and C link card is not about that, but we have fantastic
Okay,
links
okay,
in the
yeah,
back file
so-
about that.
We'll answer it when you say that. The basal counterplan, what is basal coordination?
Devin.
Say that again.
What's basal coordination?
Basel is an international meeting of basically all the Jerome powers around the world.
Okay. I mean, like, I
Want me to
mean,
say
I don't.
something?
I googled it. It said Basel III happened like 2 years ago.
Yes.
I think that's spilled over.
So the 1 and C evidence says that they've been trying to integrate Basel into America, but due to statutory as well as political constraints, those things have not occurred. The political
what
reasons.
evidence do you think says that?
For the internal link evidence. The political causes.
Wait. Can you just point? I'm just trying to understand.
The
Can
political
you point me to where in
causes-
the card you think it says that?
I could pull it up, but we're just
yeah, I'd
factually right
appreciate
about
you
this.
trying to find the word because I don't think it says that.
Yeah, my computer is dead, so I can't, but Devin will do that.
Okay, so the card, so it says things like without these standards, efficient market, impossible.
Yeah, where does it say that
assess
like
risk.
putting it into U.S. law is the key internal?
U.S.
disclosure?
participation in BCBS is critical, critically
It's like
important.
Okay, that's fine.
Like the last paragraph is all about the United States and why any pullback or any non-U.S. involvement in Basel
It says the
has
role of the
spillover
U.S. is
effects
critically
that endangers
important in
competitiveness.
engaging the U.S.
No, U.S. is critical to the BCBS, which is Basel.
Tim, screwed it up.
Not from T. Were there any theoretical reasons?
No.
The space elevators counterplan, is it number in brackets minus social security to the power of 2 million
Times.
times 2 million?
So, do you have one more sheet of paper?
produce this? Okay, so. Okay, is anyone not good? Okay, it's advantage 1, backlog, advantage 2, workforce, T, taxes, then the Basel counterplan, then the ban counterplan, then the means test counterplan, then the reverse guidance counterplan.
Sorry, hold up. Basel, then BAM, which is the FDA.
Yeah.
Okay,
Then means test, then reverse guidance, then US code, then the elevators counterplan, then the state's counterplan, then the negative income tax counterplan, then the PRA's counterplan, then CONCON, then district courts, then Ukraine, then elections. Okay. So T, the Basel Commission or Committee counterplan, the deficit, the means test counterplan, the guidance counterplan.
Means test then what? Guidance?
Yeah, reverse guidance. US code, space elevators, states, negative income tax, personal retirement accounts, CONCON, district courts, Ukraine elections.
Sorry, can I get it from after guidance or
After what?
guidance?
Yeah. US code, space elevators, states, NIT, PRA, CONCON, district courts, Ukraine, elections. Okay. Is everyone good now? Okay.
District courts, Ukraine, elections. I just want to confirm that I got it right.
Okay.
1, 2, T, the debt to SAD, guidance counterplan.
The Basil's are before that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
and then the means testing before
Yeah.
guidance.
Yeah.
Okay, I thumbed over one of the papers. Yeah, that's what I was missing, means testing. Okay, and then after guidance, it's the OLRC counterplan, space elevators, states, NIT,
Yeah.
CONCON, district courts.
PRAs.
PRA did.
Yeah.
Oh, it thumbed over another sheet of paper. PRA, CONCON, district courts, Ukraine, elections.
Okay. You're not right. Okay.
1 to 2 all calls the government says display the case or key. It's debated their existence. 1 to 2 no, and you know when national collapse or 1 to 2 evidence says that or the display case or the critical terminally 2 collapse of the clog. But the internet collapse evidence is wrong. Or 1 to 2 faulty evidence, but Manson evidence says that a split internet will collapse the internet, which causes extinction from a lack of cooperation. The AI for off evidence from 2018. Or evidence says that a general Russian integrating knowledge. 1 to 2 Glenn evidence script is line is wrong. Which does not assume attacks on the grid, which only 1 to 2 evidence can solve. That's cause stops extinction. That's modern. It is true. Yes, these impact their evidence with marks for early providing warrants. I want to see diabetes evidence specific and says that empirically diseases have become to the brink of extinction. The next one will be is particularly worse. That yes, will decline impact. I want to see evidence says jobs are the key internal language are, and that is how the Barrett evidence says it is the critical to signal resolve allies to determine nuclear war that causes extinction. T taxes. We mean disability for evidence are financed by taxpayers 11. Disintegrated abilities are committed by taxpayer 1. Entropy can be either complete through taxes or whether writing through loaded be taxes benefits being key. The only one that's best A after our towards chances of tax and transfer makes ability of the app is particularly every answer will distribution. It affects all the way to action works known as obviously it's 2 app states products. He got a funding to set other words check be Fiscal. No internal aim is involved in single committee not solve the internal bypass basal committee should have solved no impact the arts is not the only reason why the basal solves the 2 part of the kind of way the blanket of 3 cannot comment in the action does not require certainty core 15. Policy different emergency in order to follow the image by guidance policy thing policy condition action must be taken off piece and expectation policy always be careful policy condition to get action in most cases exception go to acceptable for good reason should refer to definition must pass better priority ability test for part of the plan and the kind of issue solves the internal evidence text here inserted below must be textually a function given a maximize for comparison and after 5 cannot solve a certainty ski signal to adversaries is required on a certain commitment to and labor force B say no and the politics thing that and the plan will not be implemented by the commission cease to kill social security all commission the passive hijack to kill SS which means the government can solve 6 per most solve 0 ban. Permanent when accountable all other instances, section not functioning for the commercial competition is good, chaotic, and tremendous economic collapse, the economy triggers the direct impact of vote 22. Whatever Americans receive social security, trying to kill social security is trying to launch on these abilities, decision moved to make chaos, global financial markets, market financial crisis, recession, see the GDP, unemployment skyrocketing news to go on this, also spurs massive poverty, ensures back roll, Arnold's will. Which trace around that my found side will roll of social security rates and best security by and mergers harmonizing and components of seeing universal social security and probably be the most popular economic security model with it. But with the voters, should any party of all social security never hear of that party again in our political history mark card at political history as the Yaman all run out so to leave. Good news the fund it's all able to pay 100% of its benefits from 97 is not expend on money at all overall the effect of the plan reduce the expenditure decreasing full benefit application at the end. Not only affects the plan which solves the there's not an impact, the impact is not unique, dominated by libertarian budget trolls means says. Perm do both. Perm to the cattleman cannot solve only resolving full disability benefits limited sensitive and now to work which is critical to solve advantage 2 cannot solve a clog advantage because not solve the precedent of the way people adjudicate disability claims or what the internal benefit is no net benefit they not particularly 1 and 1 and C the cattleman also just social security form which what their link is based upon guidance. Perm do both shows that the benefit also solves the internal perm the economy cannot shows not certain or immediate crossplay from above courts to strike down anyone collected from enforcing the economy and GOJ will not pursue civil suits if the economy is illegal and is not incoherent. COVID-19. Companies regularly be a company if it's guidance on properly give course to during guidance back to DOJ has taken an action that we can harness the real civil case there's no penalties or regulation and parties rejected guidance on assault or something grow general DOJ offered really possible has DOJ relying on the guidance center that's always civil enforcement DOJ and it can no longer bring enforcement action to require compliance with it and guidance in lieu of providing federal rules that apply to the DOJ ability enforce parameter by export card have regulations perm do the app and allocate Southeast safety funding and solves the internal benefit cannot solve SA guidance docs are prone to certainty legal confusion they have not read evidence specific to that which means it cannot solve also links about exponents from 1 guidance on point guidance and like chart data to protect I'm probably going by virtue of the point so where the important guidance set is script skill me over guidance specific points right there the over rule making US good. No journal and over the internal description of this woe. Not that the OC needs to take out a new role at zero risk or it's one action will not prevent us role of being a tiny agency Congress cannot overcome decades of polarization. Get this garbage out of here permanently economic crossplay. And then a definition of Rob Don, but then a possible law still carries the force law oversee no date. Code and divided the how to 27 December. Possible law to have risk or not possible law. Not possible or possible law. China to make with possible law. Both the times result of every practice and not possible again. Separately I get statute 3 part of the count and then the app solves the internal 4 part of the plan to clarify non-interference obligate combined solves and evident crossplay. A justification for Bob 5 cannot solve by authority the comment does not have authority to solve cross-money. To clarify grammatical zoom question and grammatical include grammatical changes, turns eternal or else thinking on a more powerful in Congress and more fights in it, solves will be perceived as liberal hijacking. Different kind of measures B certainty is key. Cross-play from above 5, 5 per to the move that saw or OC and it's like rational proposal. It solves an evident spillometers. Space call doesn't solve due to Trinity. The question of whether space is desirable but feasible, that's not the space extended or and it's going to consider weights. Space not has been triggered that's desirable, and the ability to avoid rather than understanding that's just a design that and can have up to the neural blood or human short threads, or of human space station really consider a possibility that as a human activity boosting that might be carried on space or they consider whether regime should change technology establish other explicit and will spread across system. The perm do both perm they cannot take funding from the SA because it's specifically designated for that. The kind of means they cannot solve the permutations. Space call causes hostile alien caught Lombardo 5. Space travel of the possibility of kind of a like alien intelligent mind. I brought some single important and will come with this common every dream, there's been no dream, and aliens are real extinction, low 16. Hockey out and public, like, answer the major alien civilization, and was hot about looking horror, and got about the planet, resist not coming to me, as much for the Columbus land and America, which turned out well, PERS, A, fun, the thing that comes here, way, B, social security spending itself, the internal and a bit of it, states. Per DuBois shows that if elections might make states either way, two states cannot solve either advantage A clock, they don't have fields. Federal disability case, so that's key. B war first. Federal SSD export is key, that's a discount. C7 is 5. 3 uniform for state fiat is voter church legislature ruling strategy. Reject the team is rejecting the argument, distance and wise theory. 4 part of the canon normally solves local implication links and a bit of a complex for our commercial proof. They not write evidence of the as to the contrary. And that's it's bad for disabled Will Harper 15. No matter the models for those that are trying to do about beyond and then people display content markets exclude people not necessarily most what about models and CX crap benefit organ mark the card benefit programs per new shields of politics link to politics just as controversial start 11 and if stop in the United States with the right Republicans consider community welfare spending many covers the recipients and no hard work to find work in 19 overseas Republicans and value check off with the anti-Roosevelt EITC mark the card and EITC disincentivized to work because that's the point of the negative income tax PRAs. Per the economy advocate is arguing against it. It says in link to politics insert through highlighting for cannot solve any that altering disability standards is key to the premium clog and incentivize the labor force participation compound. Permanent economy in the plan, per compounds and compounds are bad field, unpressed uncertainty dollars, the deficit is not real, permanent economics way, the plan can be done for, cannot solve the certainty, and cause a strike down the number of cards we get new cards and they redo. This reports. Permanent economy in the common fiat plan might be a decision the force law is indistinct from the court's Counterplan. 2 cannot solve a water now that stable so common congressional force that show the court's harmony of Zimini be legal in one case as the solves actually mark that as an analytic links and benefit the right social security so blocks Congress law and not do the plan no turns case so twice is broadly stable. Ukraine. Permanent go solves the unit number 1. This is 2. So you're sending maps of data like how to prove it. If we're going to think about some members' thoughts, at least standard law being online bill. Well, it's to be expected easily the 30 for the national incentive has to do people with list SSD as insulated from politics marks 14. The politics SSD and classic political calculation is a lot of politics, things are a political strategy with the common politics or respect air politics company and local office is here law you made from attack the plans by partisan waivers 20. Broad support of disability voters to be made for the works both the Republicans and Democrats to maybe aware about politics going to be the will of government as a temple for the second enjoy a board or possible some kind of funds about components. Straightforward purpose encourage success and labor market for Disney Force and one just war cost evidence is bad. It's why this AEI truck proposal to privatize will not pass it. Another plan thumper. There's visibility of social security controversy now that takes out the link. A doesn't solve it. It's been a 3. Ukraine military policy version 8 to 2022 miles force of people to Ukraine mark the card at Ukraine the elections Counterplan the elections inside turn to solve Trump wins outright to see polls prove insert this chart link turn and the plan is critical to passage insert the reality of their keys evidence or evidence says that their plan the keys are not relevant for consideration now the link turn passage widely popular following truth you one of disabled people's long-standing policy how to make it more stable and make it better rising as that's part of the development and appeals to plan appeals to comments inside of display work and best defended 3024 election made critical disabled workers people with disabilities that are organizational and skill will make a case there is over the time the highly contested high stakes election the black swan signal the impact of that it reaches good to now independence health war in prison.
Brad. 25 seconds. So 9:35. My computer is dying. Okay. Alright, good for cross-checks?
Yeah.
Alright. Did that decide what is the impact to populism?
Well, we think it triggers well, we haven't read an impact of populism as per the JC.
Okay,
but
you made an analytical...
You've read an impact on the 1 and C on the elections this that way. MAGA rule is bad. We read cards saying that any party who campaigns on abolishing the debt or abolishing Social Security will never see the light of day again.
The analytical argument about the plan being a net reduction in spending, explain.
Yeah, so the mandate of the plan increases benefits because it increases benefits for people who have like partial disabilities who have some work capacity, but the effect is that less people will receive, or there will be less benefits dished out because people will self-select into lower levels of disability. The issue in the SQO is that no one knows what counts as a full disability or no disability at all. So people are applying for full disability that causes court clog, which is the first advantage.
Okay,
but that also causes people to be overpaid for disability benefits they don't
Why does that cause an increase in labor force participation?
The yin evidence says that. Because we would incentivize people to get partial benefits, which would impel them to then reattach themselves to the labor force because they don't have full benefits anymore. Because full benefits
elections disadvantage, the link turn. Which voting bases care about disabled folk, and which card says that they would flip the election?
Disabled people care about disabled
And
disability.
where does your evidence say that that is a not large enough voting block to give Biden to victory?
Well, the R card I didn't read. We'll read it in the 1AR. The 2AC evidence says the 2024 election may be a critical moment for disabled voters. People with disabilities and the organizations willful and skillful making the case there's no better time than a hotly contested high-stakes election.
Okay. The case, your disease impact, your extension of it was that empirics prove diseases cause extinction.
No, it's not empirics. It says that empirically we've come close to civilizational collapse or extinction with diseases. The Diamantis evidence
Which
is
example?
predictive.
What is an example of that?
Well, I know, like the Black Death nearly collapsed civilization, especially
so,
in Europe.
like,
We think that like this
100%
Diamantis evidence is
Europe.
predictive and says that future diseases will cause extinction. Also, the defense card in the 1NC you marked like 3 words.
Well,
There's no
we'll read
words.
more cards, but
Okay.
I'm just confused.
We will
What does
too.
the scenario look like? What about a future disease is worse? Humans have existed for 200,000 years. Disease has only ever killed
there are
one
a bunch
species
of things. There's
on
like
one island.
biotech-enabled diseases. The Diamantis evidence also says like increased interdependence, like commercialization.
And how
There's
does
more at places we can-
staffing the healthcare sector solve all of these things? How does it
Yeah.
solve a bioterror
Well,
attack?
that was dropped in the 1NC, but the 1NC evidence says that if we do not have a sufficient healthcare sector, then people will get diseases. Diseases will spread across the United States and cause extinction.
The core cog stuff. So, what is the reason why data protection cases are necessary for AI leadership or for weaponized AI?
Yeah, so the internal link is that like if we do not have sufficient data protection cases in the courts, then China or Russia will steal our AI and they'll use that to develop their own AI and their military systems, which escalates or which increase likelihood that the
So like steal a military AI? Like
yeah, also
Okay.
regular AI.
935. Theory was states, conton, was there anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. No condom.
Yeah, that's
Alright, stop clock. 7:07.
How much prep did you have?
7:07. Are we all good for notice?
Yeah.
Basel. Depth-to-sap. States. Compound. Advantage 1. Then advantage 2.
Basal, that's advantage 1.
Basal, depth, yeah, states, yes.
Give me 1 second.
Okay, no worries.
Sorry, I'm not ready.
No worries.
Great. Give me a second to download it.
Okay. Trade collapse outweighs decoupling and frames conflict and every hotspot trade is an impact filter, which is necessary to resolve emerging challenges, including warming, tech development, and proliferation and cause of extinction. That's Oppenheimer. Kriminger says it turns financial instability, innovation, and causes arms racing. The current lack of a Basel Accords breaks the globe into separate spheres of influence and different trading blocks, which straight turns and impacts, also turns great economy and innovation. 121. Infrastructure can benefit substantially from inbound FDI overstretch, costing hundreds of billions of countries ahead when it comes to sponsoring smart grids and e-government, such as separate credit issues are fundamental to the economy. U.S. not able to meet financing tech up solely through domestic investment and imperative to incentivize FDI to improve quality and resilience in the face of adverse effects and vulnerabilities. Yes, spillover, low threshold for net benefit solvency, and any disaster perm. That's the Kriminger evidence to says that as long as the U.S. participates, is able to enshrin it into law. Cooperation with the BSCP is the touchstone of multilateralism in the global financial stability. Kriminger 18. Maintaining policy leadership with BCBS's investigation for U.S. agencies and header-setting process strengthens financial stability. U.S. engagement important to financial stability level, the playing field private regulatory standard that separate innovation or show competitiveness, including foreign investments. Overall prosperity is dependent on U.S. participation in its bodies, policy-making, and increased resilience that is instrumental to growth financial state. The setting policies to promote level playing field, playing authentic and genuine geopolitical function. National interests can only be advanced through an international engagement. They say no impact. First, recent robust studies. The only 20 of goods, so cross-border sources will straight for goods connections gives each a set of avoidable usage. Research confirms Bastian's claim being thought of to appear contested in every country, but the past 40 years analysis showed a correlation between trading conflict causation with God approach hosts. Also for growth, even proximity takes away its protection and lead to conflict. Second, empirics. Huang 18 history provides ample geopolitical heightened attention to political crisis and wars. The first countries war started while Germany's Hollywood sugar retail nationalism carried trade on wars evidence, but the Second World War history repeats of the two trade wars. Indian engineers also helps that World War. Third, forecasting. Then 20, the economy are entering critical phase. Space on the raises of emerging powers disrupting order multilateralism as throughout the world on the brink of great power, avoiding late 19th century scenarios of the double trade is central. Permanent campaign is severance. First, mandates. The campaign never mandates a plan. It recommends the plan. The outcome is certain and can result in anti-topical action. Solvency arguments are about the likely consequence of the campaign, not its mandate. Permitting effects kills ground. Word 13. Every action has a competitive effect on your butterflies able to create whether cause and effect are applicable, even if the cause are unflaggable. Increase must be immediately effective. Renew before increase. Use of the access of function and objective and application increase of number of class. Do not adequately find the limits of duties. Should is mandatory sort of 17. The ordinary common meaning of should is a mandatory obligation used to express experiences. Social security must be certain and immediate and need effect. 17. Social security is permanent initiatives which focus on temporary eradication and social security, but transient steps on which progress may be based substantially means fixed and closely outside of words and phrases substantial, meaning full existence, absolute, real-time fact, nominal, not including any others opposed to inclusive resolve, requires 50 websites to the firm transition. Is it okay if I pause the timer because Kevin's computer died? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. No? Okay, sorry. I can keep going. My bad. Textually, the competence says ought to, not should. Textual competition is good. It's good. It's actually scratched out. Prefer first limits, allowing delay and uncertainty makes every process topical, which is worse because absence in terms of the debate. Second, ground. Politics, econ, trade-off require immediate action. Third, Afghan only guarantee action. That's a out of rollback. Independently in the U.S. It means within 16. It means within the bounds. Most usually significance means a close surrounded by limits. The U.S. is a territory. Colonial 16 term means only content of the U.S. and its Basel is an international committee that's best limits the Afghan field development. 800 of different countries to implement any variation implementation of UBI, GG, or Social Security expansion, ground, international proposals, secure core neck, disaster based on the effects of plan on the domestic economy. They say delay perm, that's illegit. First, severance immediacy, which is above. Second, time frame perm, long specification of sequence, avoids all negative ground. They say do the plan after politics or after the third vagueness. Impossible to tell when the campaign has finished. 4, it failed. 2C22 world areas. Biden seems speaking so many revelations that some which officials just share the concern about the crowd of internal non-rights, trust evidence, mutual openness, perm other issues. First, doesn't solve. Benston 24 only prudent path ahead will be to repropose. Any reproposal should explicitly define the specific capital problems need to be addressed. It should be backed by robust economic analysis. Takes for our economy are too high to move hastily again. There's critical overburning wrong. Second, it's mutually exclusive because it doesn't over a broader theme, but the plan would be that specific thing that occurs. Third, it's intrinsic and illegitimate. Interim counterplans need only can be functionally against a new app at TOC. First, arbitrariness, permutation, snowball, to fall on intrinsicness. Destroying every net benefit or disadvantage tests are fake ground criteria or arbitrary. Second ground, the net benefit is not artificial nor internal. It's an opportunity cost to the plan because it forgoes using Basel for redistribution. We have fiscal specific evidence that's as good as it gets. Net ground outweighs plan vagueness, infinite funding mechanisms, and limited disadvantage means you err negative. Second, forcing both textual and functional competition encourages meaningless plan writing that kills ground. We need process conference on topics without a core dissat. 4, logic. It's a relevant opportunity clause excluding tests of implementation, kill advocacy, and justify scramble perms theory, which checks after offense. The certainty deficit confidence is more certain than plan. Premature 18 cooperation, the multi-auto so fundamental of econ, internal nature of markets and capital flows to BCPS that was effectively guaranteed level playing field on big innovation, creating improved capability to arbitrage differences in defenses, fragment environment, increased risk taking, result allocation of the co-op framework, weaken water arrangements, prevent sufficient tackling shocks, this global consistency, achievable to coordination in flow sharing BCPS, driving forces on BCPS long-lasting influence on laws based set of comprehensive and clear division of responsibilities, no impact to the deficit, net benefit certainly outweighs. They say no. Concede plan is popular from the politics scenario. The U.S. has outsized influence. Premature 18 U.S. played a key role in development standards to BCPS since its founding, working with other countries. The U.S. has been driver of many reforms. The U.S. was strongly to BCPS advocate for standards. The U.S. historically acted as the primary arbiter of international finance. The U.S. focused on more transactional advantage and less on evolution assisted to multi-pronged world assisted development ways that are not in the interest of the U.S. or the market. They say hijacking wrong. Concede popular from politics, and the recommendation doesn't open up all of Social Security to be discussed, so it cannot happen. Permutation to both fails. Deferring to BSCB is essential to counter perception of U.S. unilateral and anti-egalitarian rulemaking. Anything short of that causes divergence towards alternative economies that wreck the global economy. That's premature. Second, perceived as unilateral action which fails. Premature 18 BCBS are critical components to stability of allow disagreements people failing to pay reliable financial economic stability alternative orders market orders. Third, it requires consensus. Premature 18 BCBS only reach agreements based on consensus. The U.S. exercises numerous influence by virtue of commitment to these organizations to standard consensus on issues international sense of finding effect leaves ultimate decision through national relations checks and balances. The final decisions. The counterplan solves internal benefit. The permutation will always be worse than the counterplan alone, so still reason to vote negative. The debt dissat. Concede that functional competition alone is good. No takebacks. Concede competition is just a test of competition. The United States federal government should legally bar Nikki Haley from holding public office. The states and content concede privileges. Theories of reason to reject the argument not to take because not going for a sauce for the offense. They can all solve this case. It's a scenario of 0. They cite civil lawsuits, class action, and criminal cases. Social Security is a drop in the bucket. There are at most 125 cases in one track. There were 2,500 Social Security lawsuits. Nearly all of the lawsuits more than 90% under SSI. That's 0.0002% of court cases. United States courts 21. United States court cases 526,477. There's no internet impact. It can't collapse due to resilience and interconnected systems. Means all countries want to preserve the internet. That's Crime Watcher, Internet's too decentralized. Groverjack. 7 when is the internet going to pass? Never. It hasn't. The structure is robust. It's impressive considering us which collapse in 90 instances of 10 fixes of decade where you are going to run out addresses to run itself only spam represent incurable diseases. Market diseases, no military AI impact. It won't be integrated and it's too far off. Political constraints and fears of automation guarantee. That's Kania it being outdated as unresponsive because their scenario is stupid. Civil courts and district courts obviously are not the ones preventing AI from getting stolen. The card says it bans data protection cases, not AI and military tech cases. Obviously political and military interests ensure that that technology gets protected. Institutional bureaucratic barriers block it. Sure, 21 there are sharp bureaucratic institutions imperative to the that are robust designing the military spec making more resource of wider conditions that commercial AI mirror in immature with reliability images near net or immature a roadblock the DoD use of AI. Grid is resilient. There are constant upgrades and monitoring happens 30 times a second. That's available evidence. Doesn't matter if it doesn't assume data because it's a reason why data is unnecessary because the physical systems itself means that it doesn't matter how it relates to digital effects. The grid's fine. Danger 16. We've all seen news reports of grid vulnerabilities. That's fact check. Myth 1. Our system is aging outdated despite age utilities every year. Spent billions upgrading systems maintain reliability. Myth 2. We are unprepared and should disagree. They spent billions implementing reliability measures by having rifle bullets shot into just more than not a single customer lost power reserve protections, redundancy, integral part of the design of the grid experience data, and concept purposes systems and redundancy.
Okay. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I want to start on the internal net benefit. How does the Basel Commission solve all trade?
The Basel Convention is something that governs monetary policy, trade policy.
Yeah, but I don't
and
understand how it solves like collapse of global trade. Like,
When the
what is
United
what is
States-
the mechanism by which it does that? Like, explain it to me.
When the United States becomes a leading force in the Basel Convention and shows that it has support for the Basel Convention.
So the
it-
signal that the U.S. is a part of it is sufficient to solve all trade disputes.
Not just the signal that the U.S. is part of it, but
Then what does the
the
US do
U.S.
when
has
they
to
join?
actively integrate Basel into its own statutory.
Right.
and
Okay. How does the
federal
Counterplan
domestic
actively
laws.
integrate it and then do more and like actively integrate it further with respect to like all trade policies? Like, how does that work?
The Counterplan has the United States federal government recommended to Basel
Right.
and integrate the results of that recommendation into.
Right.
their
How does that
domestic
get to
legal
like
structure.
solving all trade?
It means that Basel is reinvigorated, and you've conceded that Basel solves all trade.
Okay, that's not true. The permanently counterplan, the Sawyer evidence says should connotes expediency. Do you think that is a synonym for immediacy?
Yes.
Okay. The solvency, certainty stuff. The Kimminger evidence is just generally about like international cooperation being certain. Where I've read evidence that says specifically within a Basel committee that the result would be certain.
It says, so you should look at the last paragraph of the card. It says that global consistency is only achievable through international coordination and info sharing. BCBS are driving forces. Although not binding, BCBS has long-lasting influence on laws. Basel set up comprehensive but clear division
This
of
card, it
responsibilities.
talks about national banking laws. It says it has lasting influence on national banking laws. What evidence have you read that says it would have impact on fiscal policy, on disability insurance? Like, why is the SSA going to listen to the counterplan?
They have to.
Why? So that
Because
it's binding on them? Is the counterplan binding on the SSA, on the federal government?
the United States is the one proposing it to Basel, and the United States wants it.
So
We
the
feel-
counterplan fiats that the U.S. obeys the recommendation of the Basel, right?
Yes.
Okay. The perm, I guess. Why do they know it's in genuine consultation?
There's a couple reasons. The first is just that the committee doesn't meet before the plan would happen, which means that
When does the committee meet?
The committee meets tomorrow.
Okay, then
But the
why?
plan is immediate.
Why do they know the plan's happened?
Because the United States federal government would be already giving
then
benefits
what-
to these disabled people.
So okay, what's the impact of them knowing that?
It means that that consultation is entirely not genuine, and
Yeah, I
it's also
understand that, but like, why does that
exclusive.
complicate their ability
We've got
to
evidence
solve
that
trade?
you cannot
Like
bring you cannot bring an issue that's already been solved to the Basel Convention.
Okay.
We'll take it up. Can you go to advanced too? 4 seconds.
703.
One more cent. Do you want to sit here? Yes, please.
Is everyone good for an order?
Yeah.
The order is the elections to start. The space elevators counterplan. The negative income tax counterplan. The personal retirement account counterplan. The district courts counterplan. The U.S. Code counterplan. The needs test counterplan. The guidance counterplan. The Ukraine DISA. Advantage 2.
One more time.
The elections DISA. Space elevators counterplan. Negative income tax counterplan. Personal retirement account counterplan. District courts counterplan.
U.S. Code Counterplan. Am I going too fast?
What's after personal returns?
District Court Counterplan. And then U.S. Code Counterplan. Means Test Counterplan. Guidance Counterplan. And praying this out. And then Advantage 2.
Give me a second to download it.
Okay. Okay, is everyone good? Okay. The Counterplan bars Trump from running second, and delegates wins Oppenheim 24 between March and June. All remaining candidates through trying to accumulate as many delegates as possible. Republican delegates are bound if Trump departs. The second place finisher in the primary says the lack of Trump delegates support whoever proposed best after Trump's withdrawal. That's Haley. CNN 24 insert a chart by barring Trump. It means Haley will take the helm and gain Trump's popularity. Silver 24 disqualification. Republicans will forget about Trump and focus on finding an extended barrier to party's leaders, and billionaire funders will support Haley. Trump's rank and file supporters move on. Concede that Trump wins now. Absent that, the plan, and with Trump out of the way, Haley would win. Haley polls even better than Trump. Jack 3-3. Republicans have a shared thing, and Nikki Haley keeps trouncing Biden in polls. A recent poll found in a general election against Biden. Haley would battle him out of over 16 points compared with Trump's 2-point lead. Do both things in the benefit by helping Biden win the election, which will be explained below. Concede that the plan is a huge win for Biden, ensuring voters turn out for him in 2024, handing him a second term over any other candidate. Cross-ex was clear that Americans with disabilities can flip the election for Biden. Haley is good, which is the disadvantage to the permutation. Haley solves populism and solves the case. She can fix Social Security and solves it. She returned 23. Haley showing up Social Security system promoting Haley comfort limiting benefits so wealthy can receive changes that affect beneficiaries. New retirement populism is appealing to people with short-term solutions that can feel good but are not responsible. We need leadership to not cut to save Social Security. Populism causes extinction damage 72. Populism gateway drug to civil war, domestic people, nuclear power increases the likelihood of nuclear accidents. Populism sensitive to nuclear threats. Chicken homes and domestic opponents. Homeland turns to suffer credibility dilemmas. We have to ask whether populists would trade Pittsburgh for Poland. Foreign powers would calculate or not be punished for striking in favor of war hangs. The ability to keep populists being soft to nuclear border effort to fend off populists could slow confusion by the chain of command. Haley solves human rights. 024 Haley in most resources global health president of ambassador United Post foreign aid against president announced HR violations Syria against children and civilians continue to be outspoken and humanitarian crisis in the East. Venezuela, Biden is horrible. Gaza improves. Extinction. Code 20. U.S. promoting rights on the basis of Switzerland and what indispensable values to open governance and powers attacks on war. Problems the last year's offered the conservation of SOI where mega powers ignore rights. The unity is cracking with the U.S. leadership to risk returning diversity. In the last century, abandoned leadership versus destabilization as a time of COVID, climate, and refugees. Leadership matters and stability and uncertainty makes an urgent to have different rights. Set an example. Social Security insolvency is a much larger cause of social instability, elder poverty, and pro-living centers. After Haley, it's massive all cause of the FFB, 1219. Growing number worry about 71% of Social Security might not sustain up. CIR survey uncovers deep seating anxieties by future national and Social Security plays a critical role in those near retirement and the fears of its reduction, 80% of top consider low-income households. Concerns set against the 24 cost of living adjustments, lagging behind rising costs, housing, insurance, the cost of care, savings draining black holes even when inflation is low. Black swans is irrelevant because we have explicitly conceded that Biden and Trump will win now, and even if there's some uncertainty, the link turn so massively outweighs, and so there's a massive risk of turn. This is not a double turn with the 1 and C. The 1 and C only said Trump bad, not Biden good. This is justified because we're reading a diss ad to the 3C's perm, which proves that links in that benefit. It's also a new tiny Social Security app, so be lenient. Reject any one of your attempts that Biden solves. Only Haley permanently unites populism and essentialism in the last 23. Haley doesn't say isolation of populism on unity, which she work with Democrats and community leaders independence. Haley put moderate Democrats Haley's speech on hacks for traditional GP to federal flags such as liberal internationalism, support for Ukraine, and first female minority governor purchase inclusive. We want to win a majority leader, more people, young women, African Americans, Asians, Hispanics. Framing issue. Biden is useless because he can't get anything done. Brown side 24. Senator Democrats running tough campaign found a deficit too large to overcome parties so few alternatives flip seats. You know, so pass legislation as compensation, of course, especially if Supreme Court, even if Biden holds the White House. Space elevators, as well as every other counterplan, concede the perm, test the competition, all theories, reject the argument of the team because not going for solves their offense. Ukraine this ad, concede the perm, test the competition, concede 8 fails, and concede uniqueness overwhelms. There's no offense. Advantage 2. They don't solve. SSDI is obviously not key. Accessibility and workplace, equal pay discrimination, Medicaid, and SSI are much larger causes. Insert a rehighlighting of 1AC evidence. Disabled people are not key to the economy or growth or pandemic's response. If they're right, there's a perceived lack of response, and resolve and growth is slowing, the plan's a drop in the bucket. They have one card and improves business efficiency. Not that it's enough to overcome uniqueness. No disease impact isolated populations, variations, genetics and medicine solved. That's Taylor. Empirics warrant is incoherent. The risk is 0.1%. 22. A pandemic with extinction, very small probability of GCR conference shows median estimate of killing 1 billion to be 5%, or the incidence probability of existential risks and pandemic next 100 is 0.01%. Econ. U.S. grew faster than any other advanced country. They have no comparative recent evidence as Irwin. Every data point about jobs is good. DOC 4, 8 job creation exceeded expectations with the entity. 1,000 jobs out of GDP net income increase in all states. Wages increased to 4.1%. Over 15 million jobs have been created since Biden. Those reports consistently outperform expectations of Wall Street. All of PR is higher than Schaefer 4.5. Data points of top Wall Street's expectations are coming out at 100,000 more. The expectation of 0.5 to 3.8% here, historical low. Percentage of Americans depressed with the workforce increase more optimistic with their expect. Strong data is public activity is picking up consensus sees growth coming out too. The further short-term scenarios projections in the long term are inherently unpredictable. Even in relative terms, it's far stronger than other economies. AP for 11 growth. Yes, up to the economy to economy 2.5% far outstripping any other economies robust. Consumption investments are easing supply chain problems and efficiency down faster than expected. IMX was growing economy to be faster than 3.1. Economists project long-term growth. Capital economies 23. Economics analysis of how economies perform 2025. Market called a comprehensive analysis.
536.
536 starting. order is workforce. Oh, I always forget.
Yeah, I think I remember that happening.
Yeah, it happened last round.
How much left do you have?
49. Okay. Workforce advantage, or no, clog advantage first, workforce advantage second. New Nikki Haley counterplan. Where was that? It ran in the tunes. So I think it was just a new sheet.
Yeah,
It was like on the.
Let's move into elections.
Yeah,
Should we put it in
talk
the
about
elections?
elections.
The bar Nikki Haley can run.
Okay.
Move.
I'm just gonna put that on the top of election. Okay. Advance 1, advance 2.
Nikki Haley counterplan, or I guess. Well,
The counterplan part.
Yeah, 1, 2 basal elections because Nikki Haley's now on election.
Okay.
Wait, I thought you said it was 2-1 workforce and clock.
Clog.
Then this one's baseball one.
1, 2 elections.
Is it
Basal.
Basal.
Is it like counterplan elections, or like basal counterplan, then elections counterplan?
Yeah, I mean,
You're gonna start with the Haley Tuitzy kind of plan, and then
yeah,
rest elections.
I'm gonna say perm do both.
Okay.
Go to the
Spoiler alert.
Okay.
Just to make it so.
Wait, I guess I can download it.
Okay, everybody good?
90% of cases doesn't matter because they consider they're the most burdensome. The impact is when internet collapse functionally considered in the blocks. It causes authoritarian internet, which allows spheres of influence to propagate throughout the world, causing global nuclear wars of aggression and transition. Defense doesn't assume it is to collapse of the internet, which is not our scenarios. Our scenario is about authoritarian control, no defense of the block. It is the same course. They're both appeals course. The no digital effects doesn't matter. They concede they can do it in completely legal ways, but U.S. dominance matters. Grid resilience is untrue. The decentralized nature of the grid does not assume centralized attacks on the grid. We can take on multiple nodes at once. Conceded the terminal equals extinction as vital services to the human race are cut off.
Second.
U.S. growing fast now doesn't matter. They conceded the work is the key internal links doing that. Disabled people are dropping out of the workforce at record pace, and they're wrong. We're in an era of secular stagnation. Good numbers are a snapshot while we're on a general downward trend. That's the one you see evidence that they dropped in growth. Is not the only internal link to our power projection. Broadly, they conceded that the workforce and the perception of equity worldwide is what's key to center to certain capability. Long-term scenarios should be preferred if they cause extinction. They don't have one that matches it. Projected growth is wrong. That was answered above, and they conceded the Haas evidence was the terminal. U.S. dominance is key to check Russian and Chinese fruits of influence and wars of aggression.
Basal.
There's no internal, it is literally incoherent, it's zero, its risk is zero, which means you can vote AF on presumption. One instance of cooperation does not spill over. The one NC evidence says that the United States is already in basal, which means U.S. participation isn't key. And the card they read in the block says that the U.S. maintaining leadership in basal is key to solving the impacts, which indicates that it exists in the status quo. But per do the counterplan should is not an immediate framing issue. There's no counter definitions in the context of the time frame. Debate makes this easy to decide. For Brown, what is debatability? Their definition opens the door to a slew of cheaty counterplans, like delay, consult commissions, which steal the AF, air AF, topic skewed for the neg. Econ decides, policies decides, privatization, counterplans, states, counterplans, and 2 is predictability. Prefer plain meaning. I should go to the store does not mean I should go to the store now. Scalia 12 words. Or to be in their everyday meaning, the rule is the most fundamental semantic rule of interpretation. Interpreters should not define arcane nuances. Every word is to be expounded in its plain and common sense. Predictability outweighs. It guides prep by informing debaters what can be read in the first place. Competition is a yes/no question based off objective merits of a model. Their evidence says expedient, not immediate, makes it less predictable. Increase begs the question of should. If we're right about the definition of should, then it would allow the AF to do an immediate increase later. Same with Social Security and substantially. If should is not immediate, then it takes all of those out because we could because we could institute something that is immediate starting later. We'll concede that functional competition alone is better than any other model, which means textual severance doesn't matter because we're only testing the functional competition of the counterplan. No limits. Offense picking out of topic advantages beats random's process advantages because there's no linkage. Key warrant and they're extra T, so they automatically lose to resolutional theory. No ground loss. Our evidence says should is certain except in crazy circumstances, means delay can't be normal. normal means, and certainly extra topical specification. It's also only allowed to disprove the competitiveness of bullshit counterplans like this one. There's no AF ground loss. Durability and certainty isn't the same thing. Social security apps don't get rolled back as per the conceded link turn on elections, and infinite process counterplans are far worse than potential rollback arguments. In definition is irrelevant. The counterplan results in action within the U.S. and outside of it, which proves that it's functionally plan plus, not plan minus. The counterplan is also not certain which direct solvency. That's some risk of deficit. Haley counterplan, perm to both, no fiat and disad unless they try to go for shenanigans. Okay, disad, elections. Perm to both solves Haley win, reject the new one in our disad. It's unjustified and makes debate impossible, not a disad. To the perm, this is a wholly new argument. New apps don't justify these. And 6, that begs the question of whether the new apps are good. Where impact turning Haley good. GOP wins in 2024, irreversibly destroys the climate. T23, conservative battle plan instead of obstruct and undo efforts to tackle climate change. If Donald Trump gets elected next year, we would not undo progress Biden has made to reduce emissions of clean energy and make it difficult for future administration to pursue policy that addresses warming, block wind, solar from the grid, funding for the EPA, eliminate the DOE's renewable energy offices, prohibit states from adopting pollution standards, future regulatory duties for Republicans, and problem with the fossil fuel industry projected 2025 stands out to implement a systemic conservative takeover of the government, especially damaging the EPA. It basically undermines society at the same time as doing gross violence to the environment. And a Biden win solves the climate globally. Holla 9/11. 2024 will be a pivotal role for climate policy to determine whether clean energy goes forward despite marginally growing acceptance in Congress. GOP presidential candidates stand strongly against climate. Trump reversing environmental protections, turning away from international commitments like Paris. Biden is re-elected. We will see the growing picture for more climate action. It's not just carrots, but stakes. Climate change versus extinction. NG19. Climate change causing human extinction is possible. To the cascading effective feedback loops and tipping points, including replacement ice sea by liquid ocean, increases absorption of sunlight, higher ocean temperatures lead to the release of methane. Areas under uninhabitable by beach stress like sea level, making extinction even more likely. Even if 4% probability extinction is far more important by literally a million times. Haley doesn't solve SSDI. None of their evidence says it. No internal to populism. They haven't read one. Also can't solve international populism. Human rights. 1, no evidence Biden's worse. And 2, no impact. Haley can't solve extinction via her HR reputation. Their HR evidence says nothing. Biden can get stuff done. Our evidence above disproves it. Ukraine package solves, but Biden gets things done. Black Swans is not irrelevant. So we see they take out any policies now that affect the election. Black Swans overwhelmed. K23. Third party candidates in unbended elections they could do in 2024. Approval of both unbended or more players. Edward Kennedy could take votes from Trump. Even if few votes could make a big difference if one dies. In mid-October, the name would still be on the ballot. The VP will be sworn in for escalates. And new intrinsicness test bar everyone except Haley from running just by because new disad conceded predictability outweighs.
send the cards?
Yeah. That's why I always have
We all get one order.
Yeah.
There are cards, by the way. Elections, Basil. One, two. I'm sending those cards. They are set. Okay, everyone good? Haley outweighs populism and causes nuclear use. They have an incentive to promote nationalism and tend to use fiery language, which causes nuclear drawing, as well as Russian and Chinese lash out. That's the Hyman's evidence time frame. It's escalating now. Biden election causes Trumpist backlash, election fraud claims. So the latest our impact starts at is 2024 because that election will spur populist backlash. Warming is far off, and AI developments, data misuse, and grid collapse take way too much time. Turns warming, populists do not care about the future and definitely do not care about climate change. Turns authoritarian AI, internet, and econ impacts because it weakens our response to adversaries. Zero is the case. They've conceded that only Haley solves social security insolvency, and it will run out of funds in the near short term. The plan doesn't increase taxes to overcome for this insolvency, which means that they will not be able to pay out benefits to disabled people, cannot solve for court clock, and it zeroes all insolvency. That's a Fabino evidence. We are only extending the ban Trump counterplan, conceded perm on the 20 Haley counterplan. It's just a test of competition. The Haley turn is justified. First, no link. It's not a new impact turn. It's just a solvency deficit to the 2 AC perm. Anything else makes being negative impossible. Second, it's illogical. Every webinar reads new impact scenarios and add-ons. Excluding ours will be arbitrary, which is infinitely regressive, which was impacted out on the competition debate, and they agree predictability matters. Third, hard debate is good debate. These arguments for strategic thinking and creativity. Four, negative flexibility outweighs drop. This is a tiny new social security app that reduces benefits. We have nothing else. Process campaigns lose to permutations and theory. Economy doesn't link to tiny procedural changes that net reduce benefits. Agency apps no link politics and elections. 5, hold the line. There was no offense extended in the 1 AR. They don't have a reason why these new scenarios are bad. Even if you truthfully think it's not allowed, they do not have a justification for why the 1 AR was too late. So you do not allow any two extrapolation. 6, defense. It's easy for their affirmative. They get 10 minutes to answer 5 minutes. They got all 1 AR new add-ons, link and impact turns results of the offense. The permutation leads to the net benefit. The content alone, it means that Haley wins, which was a job uniqueness claim, but we explicitly conceded the link turn. It's a huge win provided they cannot take back technical concessions, so permutation does not overwhelm their own link turn. Yes, internal link to populism. Haley permanently changes Republican parties. It alters it away from Trumpist populism. And she's also a globalist who endorses trade, supporting allies, which permanently shifts the Republican Party away from populism. Biden cannot solve because it conceded that if Biden gets elected, it forces populist backlash. The Republican Party will always be Trump's party. They will always agree with people like Trump, which makes populism inevitable. They say global populism. The Hyman's evidence is about U.S. lash out. They say human rights will concede that defense. Ukraine does not solve populism. The black swans. First, the lead turn outweighs black swans because it's a huge win for Biden. Tactical, explicit concessions of 2AC evidence cannot be taken back. Anything else makes it impossible to have strategic debating and allows them to take back arguments. Second is the uniqueness of certain black swans cannot overwhelm that because we explicitly conceded that Trump wins now, and they've dropped evidence that Haley polls even better than Trump. Third, the card sucks. It doesn't say that it flips the election. It doesn't say that it can overwhelm a massive win like the link turn. The intrinsic perm, intrinsicness deletes all negative ground. They agree that intrinsicness is bad on the basal campaign, so they cannot go for it. The climate scenario is wrong. First, drop Biden, loses the Senate. He cannot persuade Republicans to pass any part of his agenda. It's a divided Congress that makes climate impossible. That's Brownstein. Second, Haley is good for climate. Only she can persuade a red Congress. McConnell, 24. For conservatives, climate hawks behind these measures getting through. That censorship of how to issue is famous. She's found success in turning the dialogue. The climate scenario is ruined. Number of Republicans recognize how important climate actions to voters. Third, they cannot solve climate change because it's global. No country models. Bureaucrats do none of the biggest emitter China. The EU and India have reduced emissions of China. It's largely emitter and actual impact on climate. No country is 1.5 compatible. Cat 23 insert chart. No climate impact. Book them. 23 failure of climate to perform the projections. High temperatures. No more common data. 1900 to meet the influences of climate changes. 6 degrees impact will be holding catastrophe. Carbon first of the asterisk. Market risks. Basal conceit purposes test of competition. Van Hood. They definitively cannot solve. They have conceded explicitly that the court cases is 0.0002% of all district court cases, which means even if the plan is a large issue and SSDI takes a lot of time, they have not proven that it's 10,000 times more relevant than each other case, especially because their own 1AC uniqueness evidence agrees with us that civil cases, criminal cases, lawsuits, etc. are all much larger causes. The internet impact is stupid. Populism definitively outweighs the deglobalization arguments, and the idea that the internet is separated into different blocks means that authoritarian internet does not matter because America will just have its own internet with Europe or other democratic nations. There's no reason how that escalates or causes extinction, no nuclear extrapolation. The AI impact is restrained. The courts will definitively check it. They've conceded that the military has an incentive to not allow it to get to other countries. The great impact is stupid because of physical resiliency, which means even if they can get data, it does not matter. Advantage 2. Advantage 2 is 0 because they drop 1 and C1. There are all causes that the case they consider the 1AC rehighlighting that the reason why disabled people are not integrated into the economy is not because of SSDI, but because of a plethora of other issues, things that reduce benefits, reduce accessibility. They also consider that disabled people are not key to the economy. They're a drop in the bucket, especially when their uniquest arguments is that there's a massive decline in labor force participation now, which means it can also.
49.
Peninsula, can you go ahead and get started on card documents? Thank you.
It's advantage 1, then advantage 2, and then the election.
Okay.
So you're not ready. Okay.
You cannot go for a discount when you've done way too little defense on the case page. I'll go for 2 impacts. The first one is the internet. The one is the evidence says that displacement between the authoritarian agency and democratic nations causes extinction via collapse of cooperation. The one are explicitly extending this impact of the Tronar does not have any coherent defense to it though. One is the Manson evidence says that will collapse cooperation over a number of linear external crises that cause extinction, AI, other technologies, diseases, other emerging technologies, and warming. Those are all cause extinction, which are one is the Manson evidence says the only Tronar defense is that and that doesn't matter because authoritarians allow the democratic still have their own internet. That is what our scenario is. The one is the evidence says that there's a divergence of internet between authoritarians and democracies that will lead to extinction. The second impact will go first. The grid impact. The defense is wrong. The Tronar don't have enough warrants on this evidence. The one is the evidence says that failure of data protection will cause grid collapse. It will lead to extinction. That's monarch evidence will collapse. Societal structure, the infrastructure that people rely on for their daily lives. It means it will necessarily cause extinction. The only Tronar defense that applies that that's 0.002% of cases that is wrong. And to not draw the piece of evidence of the one is the side extent and the one that it is many cases are uniquely litigious in the courts because they're the bane of the existence of the judges. We have quotes in our one is the evidence that says that it also is way overburdensome and it dwarfs all other cases, which means that it definitely discuss hog. The civil criminal distinction is wrong. They drop. They're the same courts because when people are denied benefits in the SSA, they get to appeal to the district courts, which is where the clock will happen. That's the one is right evidence, and they have the one is Gelbach evidence, which means that those two impacts definitely outweigh the risk of the disadvantage too. I'm not going for labor force or the disability or the healthcare impacts, so I'm gonna kick it.
Elections.
I'll start at the top. They do not have a good inroads of populism themselves. They have not read any card to say why Haley will stop populist theories. They've read one card saying that Haley will solve social security insolvency, not that she will solve for populism. They've not read any card connecting that social security insolvency to populism. Which means they cannot solve any of this. Plus, they drop that populists are inevitable globally. The only answer is that Hyman is not about the U.S. That is wrong. The Hyman evidence specifically says and that populists generally cause nuclear use. There's not a reason why they solve. Plus, there's not an explanation of what populism solved. And the affirmative does not. So you should vote out because we got all the elements getting external impacts via grid collapse. While the internet stuff solves all the impacts. Listen in the populism stuff. All the time frame stuff is irrelevant because the one is the evidence says that those data protection cases will be quick and the 2024 stuff is wrong. There's no way they can solve for global populism by 2024. Its impact is incoherent. It's not served in social security because they drop the plan solves SSDI and the Haley will not solve SSDI solvency when they drop and when they conceded in the TOC that SSDI will not go and solve it, which means that they cannot zero the case now. Not going for the theoretical argument against the turn, you can get it, that's fine. Now the HR stuff is kicked, so not put any of that in the RFT. Now, there's not a risk of the populism stuff. I'll extend that the Biden is good for climate. They've conceded infused evidence, fatigue evidence, the halal evidence from the one area said the Biden is critical to solve climate policy. It is also a dissent to Haley because it says that conservatives will destroy climate policy. That's causes change to the evidence says that climate accelerates feedback loops to drive quick extinction through a number of systemic stressors on the environment that will cause existential collapse that Haley cannot solve. supporting evidence because our 1AC evidence, our 1 hour evidence says that the conservative politicians are uniquely bad for climate policy, which means that they cannot solve any others. Now I'll answer the defense that Jordan went for here. The Biden, the Senate, the Biden argument is wrong. They conceded that Biden's been effective in pushing policy. He just effectively passed the entire Ukraine package, which includes TikTok, Israel, and Taiwan aid, which definitely proves he can still solve all the stuff in the Senate. Plus, our 1 year evidence says that Biden will be effective in pushing climate policies in the Senate, which obviates this argument that Haley solves argument is wrong because our 1 year evidence specifically says conservatives are bad at climate policy, even if Haley can do a few things. The 1 year evidence is fantastic on why Biden is the necessary component of any climate policy. The globe key stuff is wrong because our 1 year evidence specifically answers and says that Biden will be effective at global climate policy because he will join a multilateral institution that are effective at regulating climate. He also develop energy we can export globally. That is the halal evidence. The Buckner part is from a professor at the Military War College and also cites a number of climate scenarios, which means it's not responsive. Plus, it doesn't do tipping points and feedback loops and any evidence does. It means it definitely outweighs the risk of the dissent. Now, the not going for doesn't turn any of the case page populace are not uniquely more likely to cause the splinter net or to cause any of our other offense on the case page or to cause grid collapse. We're the only ones reading an external impact with grid collapse. All they've just said the populism causes nuclear war, not explained how it gets there or why. What are the reasons why populism causes extinction? Means that the affirmative definitely outweighs the risk of the case. Anything else? Not going for black swans. We'll concede that we link turn, cause Biden win election. That's good. Not going for intrinsic, no offense there. None of the defense on case means any risk of defense on populism means you vote out. Anything else? Okay. Good bit.
Yeah, I sent the net card, Doc. I sent the net card, Doc.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
have those.
thought that was falling off, and as you were pulling it, because as he was getting out, then I thought it knocked his head. Did you also send it? Did you also?
Oh yeah.
You should read the layer card. It's pretty well. Yeah.
can can go look by the yeah, I'll go run.
I think I'll just start to start.
not background.
What were we saying? Online.
So one now.
What's happening? What if you go
You can announce, right? Okay.
Oh, tell me
No,
something.
no, no,
Oh.
no.
Yeah, this feels messed up.
Yeah, right. Can't you just like tell her?
Use your twin energy to just like.
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah. Use your quantum location.
Getting ice by Kevin right now.
We're going. Keep walking out.
Everyone's here, right? Congratulations to both teams on excellent and very close semifinals debate. The decision is a 2-1 for the affirmative.
Okay, I voted neg. I think that there's a higher risk of a populism impact that outweighs a mitigated case and a mitigated risk of a warning impact that's external offense against the Haley 50A. In the 1AR, I don't think there's a real answer to this like 0.0002 cases argument or whatever, other than just like the assertion at the top that a low risk of the case doesn't matter because the terminal impact is conceded. The problem is I don't think you access 100% risk of the terminal impact because according to Peninsula, only 5% of cases that are appealed are disability insurance, whereas 95% are SSI, I guess. Therefore, expanding DI benefits or whatever the plan does would only resolve 0.0002% of district court clog, which is the internal link to the entire first advantage, which is what the 2AR goes for. The 2AC and 1AR are kind of both very fast and loose with the case to the point where, like, until the 2AR, my only understanding of this, like, authoritarian internet scenario is that it suspends cooperation on existential threats, which are, I don't even really think articulated actually until the 2AR, including, like, what these existential threats are, what cooperation is occurring over them, how it solves, how otherwise independently escalate to extinction, how each of those scenarios escalate, things like that. The 2AC only responds to impact defense without extending this scenario on the case, which, like, totally valid, like, working off, like, it's what you need to do, but, like, I think it's just, like, kind of mitigates your ability to be like, this is a thing that they dropped, which means, like, no new answers or whatever, because, you know, like, the 2AC didn't extend it, so obviously, like, the block didn't catch it. I also think that the 2AR could have consolidated to one scenario, and this would have helped you a lot to prioritize explanation and do that sort of impact calc work. I think the risk of grids is probably definitely higher than authoritarian internet, but also mitigated by the app's inability to solve this like 0.002% whatever argument. The 2AR response to this, which is just that like disability is uniquely litigious and overwhelms all other cases, is kind of mostly asserted without citing an underlying warrant from the 1AC evidence it relies on, I felt. But I also did not think this was in the 1AR. And even if it is a 1AC argument being extended, I don't think the 2AR gets a brand new application of 1AC evidence. Next, the like Haley good elections decide, I concluded that the risk of a populism impact is moderately higher than the case in the app's external offense. I think the 1AR's defense to populism is like flippy, uncarded, and I felt like a lot of the 2AR defense to populism based on this was new, or at least an overly generous extrapolation of the 1AR, which said, quote, can't solve internationally, they didn't read a terminal impact of populism, which is what I have. The former definitely somewhat mitigates their impact, but insofar as the neg has said that there is populism in the United States that a Haley presidency would resolve that could otherwise lead to nuclear strike, I still feel decently comfortable evaluating some like impact to this, compared to like the fact that the app only resolves like 0.002% of cases. The latter claim that there was no terminal impact is just actually untrue because they read the Hines evidence, I believe. This also applies to the 2AR argument that their evidence doesn't establish a connection between Haley and populism, because I think it does, at least enough to overcome this like warrantless assertion that none exists in the negative's evidence. Second, I think that the risk of Biden good is also lower than the populism impact. It was not clear to me in the 1AR's articulation of Ukraine proves Biden gets things done, or like Biden gets things done and Ukraine proves that these were a response to the Brownstein evidence that says that Biden is like ineffective, as indicated by the 2AR. However, even if this is true, I think the argument assumes a Democratic Senate, and Peninsula has argued that Biden will lose the Senate and therefore be unable to implement any meaningful action to resolve warming, at least as per like the 2AR's explanation of this argument. And the 2AR explanation here is also more warranted than the 2AR response, which again merely just like said that the passage of different bills in the House somehow proves Biden is effective at climate policy broadly, or like multilateral treaties or whatever, but like no explanation of like these things and like no mention of them earlier on the debate, so it just kind of felt like it came from nowhere. The 2AR was also glibby, I think, in responding to the Buckingham evidence. Unsure why the author's qualifications from the Naval War College disprove the warrants of the card, and also unsure how, who, what, when, and where it cites climate denialists. I mean, I guess like it does cite climate denialists insofar as like, yeah, they're like denying your impact is true, but like, in my opinion, this is like tautological and circular because it assumes your impact is true and they're denying it. Therefore, I concluded that the risk of the external impact of warming is low, and the terminal is also not heavily impacted out in the 2AR in comparison to populism in the 2AR. Therefore, I voted nay.
How much do you all want to hear?
All of it?
All of it? Okay. Awesome debate, despite all of the like weird faces I was making about your 14 off, which I still hate it. But as soon as the block came around, I was like, okay, this is pretty sick. I thought this was like a really cool strategy that like featured like a great depth of understanding of debate mechanics that like, you know, I'd love to see stuff like this. Very creative, very well done. I think what ultimately like sank this is that like by the nature of this strategy, because it is a new 1R DA, there is just like there's so much complexity in this debate, there is so much going on that like a lot of argument resolution and a lot of argument interactions just don't really have a lot of time to be fleshed out by both sides. Like that personally why this took me so long is just like I thought this debate by the end was just like kind of a shit show. There was like a lot of interactions that were like not super fleshed out, either left implicit or just like all of which is to say like very close, but like kind of the occupational hazard of running a strategy like this. The places where I mainly differed from that ballot, which I came very close to writing. One, I concluded that the risk of the internal link to the case stuff was significantly larger. And the reason for that is that I don't, like, while I agree that they have conceded your, like, math, that it's a small percentage of cases, they do have, like, an incredible card that says that this is an extremely, taxing set of cases among all of the different kinds of cases. Now, I don't know, and nothing in this debate could equip me to resolve which one of those things matters. Like, depending on the magnitude of difference, like, you assert that it can't be that much more difficult, but, like, you don't answer how much more difficult it is. I have no idea if it is 10,000 times worse. I have no idea what the threshold for the things are overburdened is. I have no idea how much overburdening is necessary for them to jettison data protection cases. Like, these are ultimately just like two completely, like, not necessarily related to each other layers. And what complicates this even more for me is just like, my understanding of the internal link argument is that it's like pretty linear. It's not like there is some threshold at which the judiciary all of a sudden jettisons all of the data protection cases, and like if you're above that threshold there are no cases, but if you're below that threshold then there are all the cases. Like, to me, this is like a systemic impact about lots of decision makers making a conscious trade-off between a very, very complicated set of litigation and a different very complicated set of litigation, and choosing which one to prioritize. And they have good evidence that says, like, obviously they control the uniqueness of that component, and this is like an incredibly big contributor to judges' workloads. They have anecdotal quotes from the judges that like single this out as a thing that is very important, all of which is to say, like, yes, I'm with you ethos-wise. I'm just like, yes, it's not a very big percentage of the thing. It's just like not nearly as automatic as the 2NR seems to be implying that this would automatically zap their ability to solve the case. So like, but it is a cut. So like, fine. But so, you know, and then the impacts I think are big. I mainly think that the grid impact is really, really big. The 1AR said, like, you wrote a bunch of defense about like physical integrity. 1AR's re-raise was physical integrity and distributed nature of the grid doesn't matter when it's a deliberate attack targeting multiple nodes. 2NR literally just restates the half sentence that it's like the grid has physical integrity. The 2AR rightly says that was not very well explained and extends the 1AR argument. Like, to me, that's pretty clean. There's no terminal impact answer once the grid collapses. That's like this Monarch card about this parade of horribles that will happen if the entire grid goes away and there's no power sector in the US anymore. So that impact is pretty big. So populism. I'm not sure how much Haley solves it. I don't think she solves it much, if at all. So Schouten doesn't say anything. NAST is much better, but I agree with the 1AR and 2AR's assessment that it does not say that Haley forever banishes populism, not even close. It just says Haley is not a populist. But Biden is also not a populist. So it's unclear why this would be a choice, like a reason to vote for Haley instead of voting for Biden. The only reason why it would be was this 2NR argument about how a Biden win immediately causes a surge of populism. The problems with that are twofold. One, it's new in the 2NR. I don't have that in the blog. And two, you assert that it's tied to a card. I think you completely made it up. I don't think that it is grounded anywhere in any piece of evidence. So, those are problems. And then, of course, global populism is inevitable. You say that you are only solving the US component of it. Fine, that's like not nothing. The Hyman's evidence definitely says, among other things, that populism is problematic in the US. It's unclear, though, how populist nuclear use for diversionary purposes can occur under Biden either, because if Biden's not a populist, then, and Haley is not a populist, and Haley sufficiently solves, and that's all that either side solves, it's unclear how there could be a relative advantage Haley from the standpoint of reducing the risk of populist nuclear lash-out. Making matters worse is the conceded AF argument that only the AF has an internal link to global populism because they made the argument that internet fragmentation exacerbates the capabilities of global populists to wage aggression, which is an argument that is never answered. Climate is big. The short version of how I resolved the climate debate is that I don't think that either side is better for climate, really. I don't think that I don't think Biden solves Congress. I think that Haley does solve Congress, but no one makes an argument for what Congress is important for. The AF wins that the relevant climate action is remaining in multilateral agreements, which is something that they say the executive can do without congressional action, and their GOP bad for climate card says that the GOP would deregulate, which Biden solves, even if Biden can't make Congress believe him about climate change, and Haley can, just by virtue of Biden being in office, right? So ultimately, and Biden is definitely sufficient to stay in Paris, which is what their main internal link evidence is about. I believe, so yeah, the impact of climate then doesn't matter. So to sum up, I think both sides solve climate relatively equally. Oh, the last thing I forgot to talk about, sorry, is the Social Security turns to the case. So a weird thing about that is that obviously if Social Security went away, that's actually the best way to solve the case because that eliminates all the clog, but nobody said that, so whatever. But it obviously also doesn't, it's unclear to me how making Social Security solvent has any interaction with any of the impacts that the app is going for. You have a card that says that's good for old people that's not connected to anything, and Social Security going away is not a thing that can the app definitely solves there's an uncontested internal link that is the legal change to disability benefits eligibility is sufficient to resolve clog from ambiguity about this binary status, which is the thing all the internal links are from. It's unclear to me how Haley would solve that because your card doesn't say she's going to make that change, and their internal links are pretty specifically connected to that. AF is the only thing that has a chance of solving all of the problem. That problem is extinction, from grid and from internet fragmentation. Internet fragmentation is an inroad to populism that is global. You don't have an inroad to populism that is global, and your internal link to populism in the US is extremely small, if at all, is the summary. And again, it's this is all extremely complicated, and I will be the first to say that resolving all of these interactions definitely required me to make some fairly subjective calls, and it is possible that somebody, and if it, I could easily imagine myself being in Nihar's shoes and just seeing the debate differently. The problem, again, at bottom is just that the final rebuttal packaging is all it's like make or break in debates like this where everything is just a mess, and like the two AR's way of formulating this stuff about relative risk like made more sense to me for these reasons. So yeah. But like fantastic strategy, fantastic debate, like really cool. Love judging this. Thanks for the opportunity.
Shit. Okay, so that was. Well, it's gonna be hard to top that. I'm gonna try to say things that are adding some kind of value, but I think you saw me nod aggressively, and the nodding was part said Troop said much better than I could. I thought there was a lower risk of the DA than case. So I'll start in case. I thought the area of case you're getting some defense is the internal link. So this like recalculation of the district court numbers for their cases versus total cases. I'm just gonna spot you that because I'm bad at math. 0.002%. Let's just say that times 100 or whatever. It is a small percentage number. Agreed. The issue is no one's stepping in and saying, is this a linear internal link or there's a break or whatever. So as Truth and I are reading this, it seems pretty linear. So put differently, even if there's, let's say, a 1% trade-off or a 2% trade-off in time, that is directly correlated with another 1 or 2% of cases. Let's say that they still take on a bunch of data security cases. Every additional case they don't take on might be another loophole, might be another problem, right? So it's not like they've set a sufficiency threshold to solve at this. The brink is this. If they don't solve past that brink, they don't solve any of the impact. They definitely solve some of it. Their evidence says a couple things that I think somewhat answer your math. It doesn't totally answer it. Their evidence says something like it's like 7% of cases on the docket at the appeals court level. The numbers that you cite are about when they filed a case at a district court level versus total number of district cases. Their argument is that these types of cases get disproportionately appealed, right? And because they're appealed because like ALJs are really bad at deciding these things, so people always feel like they should appeal. When they get to an appeals level, it's an even larger percentage. Their evidence is also really, really good at saying that both data security cases and these kinds of cases are very time-consuming and burdensome because these appeals court judges are like old farts who have no idea how to figure out either of these issues. They don't know data security, they don't know this. And so they're making choices in opportunity costs. And right now they're already like really burdened and having to do these data security cases, taking on another 2, 3, 4, 5% of their time for a disproportionately difficult thing where they have to like read through a lot of paperwork or spend a lot of time on it. That linearly trades off with the number of things that they can take, right? Does it mean that like they no longer take any data security cases? No, obviously not. But it means that they start taking fewer and fewer of them. And I think at that point the app gets some internally to an impact. It's linear, it's mitigated, but it's not like zero. Impact defense, the terminal impact defense, I mean, you said words, sort of like what Drew said, they're not super persuasive. Grids, you said physical. I thought there was a grids impact just because my understanding like smart grid integration is like, in the past, it was all tied to physical infrastructure, but in the world of smart grids and integration or whatever, you're particularly vulnerable to cyber attacks, right? So I thought that you get some grid impact. I thought the most persuasive impact was just like data theft causes militarized Chinese AI. They got this impact card. It's just like if China had militarized AI for like nukes, it would be like launch. It would just like it would erode command and control. They would just launch randomly beyond their control. That was a pretty tangible sort of path to a nuclear war. But I thought grids was there. I just think they've got some terminal impacts, and your defense is not great. The internal link defense, fine, but linear, so they're going to get some of it. The DA risk is lower. The Hyman's impact card, it has, when I read it, it has 2 scenarios in it. The first is if a populist is in the White House, they will make this calculation that they can trade like a city for a different city. So the example given in your card is like Portland from Pittsburgh. So Hyman's point is like, if Trump were in the White House or Trump as a populist, and Russia's like signaling they're gonna like nuke Pittsburgh, Trump would be like, no, because Philadelphia's or Pennsylvania's a swing state. But if they were like, we're gonna nuke Portland, Trump's like, screw it, those liberal hippies, I don't care. This is basically what the card says. So it's like that erodes deterrence because adversaries now think that they can nuke some places and not get a response, and only nuke other places and get a response. I guess, but this is not really the impact you're going for. More importantly, your card is like, this won't escalate. Because it's like, if somebody nukes the US, Trump doesn't respond. So I don't really know if this is a scenario where this goes, it's just like the US is vulnerable to an attack because the populist president wouldn't respond. The other is, the bottom part is like, populist erode command and control. So I guess this is a little bit like if a populist were in the White House. But more importantly, none of this Hyman's card is about how if there's a non-populist as president, but populism was still a broad problem, why that would cause nuclear war. there's like a line that's like civil war might happen at some point in the future, but it's not like if there's a non-populist like either Biden or Haley, but there was populism broadly, they would like steal nukes, they would like infiltrate the government. It does not make any of those arguments. It is about trading Portland for Pittsburgh, and it's about some vague sort of command and control argument. Which means if the choice is between Biden or Haley controlling the White House, neither of them sitting in the White House causes this impact. So the 200 hours explanation of like, this impact is 2024, it's immediate, does not make sense to me. It seems like you only get to a populism impact if the choice made in this debate results in populism continuing to be a problem, and that eventually elects a populist leader. So it's like if Biden wins, there's like backlash, eventually populism continues to grow, they then put a populist in the White House in 2028 or something like that. But it does not kick in immediately, and to be honest, like compared to their AI, militarized Chinese AI launch on, you know, rando launch impact, this vague like command and control thing is just way less sharp, I guess, and way less of a terminal impact than like certain of who's launching for what reason and why it would escalate. I also agree with Truth. I don't think Haley solves populism. This Condé Nast card is a like September 2023 profile about how Haley is an alternative option for the GOP if they decide that they want an antidote to populism. It does not make the argument that if Haley won, or if Haley won because somebody fiated that Trump was ineligible to run, that then if Haley was in the White House, she would convert populist and non-populist. It is an argument that if populism could be overcome, then there's a non-populist option. But it just doesn't come anywhere close to saying that if Haley were in the White House, she could convince people to not be populist. It also obviously begs the question of like, Biden's not a populist, so if he's not able to persuade people to like chill, I don't know why Haley would. Even if Haley beats Biden, I don't think it converts populism. And remember, the impact you're going for is like general public populace, right? The shouting card, so this is your other path to solving populism is shoring up Social Security. This, first of all, this card is like, this theory is implausibly long, given that everyone has agreed earlier in this debate that Social Security is an intractable political problem that, based on words and cross-sects, there's obviously a politics link because it's impossible to solve and no one's ever tried to touch it or reform it. So if that's true, you don't have evidence, like you have one line in the card, it's like, Haley has said cleaning up Social Security and entitlement reform is important. This is like every fucking politician says this. Your card is not good enough to say that if Haley were placed in the White House, we're guaranteed entitlement reforms. This card is also like, Haley's solution to retirement reform, or Social Security reform, is to pay less in Social Security and to tax more to make it more solvent. Your Fabino card about why Social Security, the insolvency of Social Security causes populism, is about fears of lower payout. So I'm uncertain why Haley's solution to Social Security, if it happened, why that's not the opposite of what the Fabino card says. But also just more importantly, the Fabino card is not about populism. This card is like, people are really concerned about Social Security, they want their money, etc. It does not say that they are about to like take over the White House. Like, it's not good enough to say Social Security, lack of Social Security causes widespread populism, takes over the White House, starts a civil war. It just doesn't get to that level. I thought the risk of the populism impact is minuscule. I thought the risk of the data security stuff and like the three-headed hydra of these terminal impacts is small but tangible. At this point, I didn't look at the climate stuff. I was leaning towards this is a draw. I think there's a bunch of negative that's like Biden couldn't get the agenda done. So I just thought this impact is probably further down the road. If the app has a Chinese militarized AI hacking grid impact that's a little bit more tangible, it's going to happen faster than I should care about climate, and that impact outweighs what I think is almost a non-impact on populism. So case outweighs.
Yao, I was wondering, do you think the grid scenario by itself outweighs the dissent?
I thought Chinese militarized AI was the best impact that they had, because if I compared that terminal impact card to the part of the Hyman's card about command and control, which is I think the only part of your populism impact that has a potential nuclear escalate. I mean, this card isn't even like they would escalate, but I certainly think the like Portland for Pittsburgh stuff is defense, because it's just like we win this. That's the best part they have that's like escalatory. I think that terminal impact card is better than your terminal impact, and I think they have a larger internal link to that. It's possible I also would have included grids and stuff like that, but the grids impact was like there was like widespread starvation, food insecurity, those kinds of things. It would suck. I don't know if those would be escalatory, so I didn't think that mattered.
So would you have voted neg if they had not extended the AI scenario?
Well, I think they extended all three of them.
Like if they had not.
If they had not, like if they don't extend AI, they're just going for we're only going for grids
And
grids versus grids and warming versus populism. Would I voted neg? I don't know. My concern is I think you solve almost none of populism, and populism itself is an impact that definitely doesn't have something explosive in the next 4 years. It might with another politician being elected later. I don't know.
They definitely extended AI for what it's worth. It was
Yeah,
at the
they-
top.
yeah.
I
For
thought
sure.
the two impacts were internet and grid.
They definitely extended it.
Internet was an internal link to like the AI stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The internet stuff is also, I thought, I know I didn't mention this. Your argument was like internet fragmentation, there's defense because democracies would just form a internet. The evidence is very conclusive that democracies, data breaches cause internet fragmentation within the West. Their evidence is about EU, US, and then further fragmentation because the EU has different privacy standards than the US. So it's not about the fragmentation between East and West, it's about internal fragmentation within the West.
Or the
I thought that impact, that the terminal impact that was like aligned as like this is existential but no explanation. So I was like, I don't know how to explain like internet fragmentation